mentioned, jobs are hard to come by, and that's because everybody is replacing people with AI, for better or worse. And our employers that we talk to tell us what they really want is people who know how to automate jobs with AI. That's what they want you to do. So knowing how to use AI agents is probably more important than the actual content of any of the courses you're taking. That is the new hot thing that they will hire people to do. So you should all be living with AI agents. You should be doing your whole life, whatever you can, automating it. That's what I've been doing for several months now, maybe 6 months. That's what everybody in Silicon Valley is doing and writing blogs about, is learning how to automate whatever you do with AI. First thing I did was sort my email. Then I vibe coded a replacement for Canvas because last semester they turned off the Canvas I was using and lost all the data in finals exam week. That was annoying, but I vibe coded my own Canvas over weekend. And then now it's sending emails to students. It's updating scores in Canvas. It's updating due dates and projects in Canvas. It's written some quizzes for me. Everything I think of, I get my agent to do it so I can practice it. And it can also do things like scour the web. I taught a class using I prepared to teach a class using an online Cisco free book, but the book was not available in PDF form. It was a whole bunch of pages, and you had to click and fill out forms to get to the next page. So I asked my AI agent, can you harvest all those pages and make a local copy of it all? And it took like hours, but it did it. It figured out how to claw through all those pages and gather it all. So it can do, I also asked it to find things. There was a supply chain attack about 4 months ago where they poisoned the product, and the developers were so asleep, the poisoned version was still available, but I couldn't find it. So I sent my AI agent to cutting through all the forums and everything, trying to find it, and it found it. So it can do things like that. But you should all be practicing getting it to do things like that. So if you're willing to do that, it's extra credit. The one I recommend is this one called LifeOS from a guy named Daniel Miessler, who is very famous. And what it does, now, by the way, you have to do risk analysis. AI agents are dangerous. They are stupid and they are easily hacked. The problem is, if they have data that come from somebody else, like email, they can find commands in the email and execute them. So you can attack people by just sending them a spam email with instructions for the AI agent. So it might go out of control and do stupid things. It might just disobey your instructions because they're random. They have random variation in the output. They don't always obey the instructions. Even if they do obey the instructions, they don't know where the instructions came from. They don't make any difference between instructions from the developer that should be obeyed and instructions from a random user that can't be trusted. They don't have any concept of the level of trust in instructions. They just obey all the instructions that come in. So they're risky. Now, what a lot of people in Silicon Valley are doing is putting it on their real hardware, connecting it to their real bank account, their email, and everything. And because they really want to learn how to do it, and to hell with the risk, because learning how to do it fast is more important than the risk. I'm not comfortable with that because I'm a consultant for a critical infrastructure provider and some other big corporations, and I don't want to have to explain to them that a disaster happened because I put an untrusted AI agent in direct contact with that stuff. So I put it in a virtual machine. I made a Linux virtual machine, and the AI agent lives in there, and it doesn't have access to anything outside. So it can get to the internet, and it can get copies of my email that I forwarded to an agent mail account, but it doesn't directly log into any other services, although now I'm starting to have it log directly into services as I gradually learn to trust it more. But anyway, that's the game here. So I made a Ubuntu machine, and then you have to pay money. If you're going to do it the way most people do it, they pay $20 a month for Claude Code credits. This is where you get the powerful, best performance. You could run your own local AI if you had a fairly powerful machine with a GPU or two, and you're willing to put up with less performance. You could run a local machine, and that would be, of course, much safer because I'm sending all my data to Anthropic, and I'm trusting them. Now, I did find a page. You can make a setting in Anthropic telling it not to train on your data. So should be here. Should be right there. Maybe I have to refresh the page. Anyway, there is a way to adjust it to supposedly not train on your data. I think that's here. This never... there we are. Nope, that's screen blank. Anyway, I don't seem to have the latest version of this up somehow. I have to find out what happened to it. But I did find out how to turn off training on your data. So hopefully it won't take the data you send it and expose it to other people. I'll have to put it back in here. Somehow I lost it. But anyway, once you get this thing working, you have this frame. This is LifeOS. What this does is it creates memory files for all the projects you give it and organizes them for you. So you can just ask it to do things with normal English. and it will figure it out and do it. And we all need to get in the habit of practice of doing this. It takes a while to learn how to train them, learn how to supervise them, and you get to see their defects. But this is the most important job skill you can get, is learning how to control an agent. So I highly recommend installing one, and you can get some extra credit points just for installing it. Using it is going to depend on what you want to do. You could be whatever you want to do. Think like you had a administrative assistant solving problems for you. Like, there's some really irritating forms you have to fill out every semester called student learning outcomes. You have to fill out this complicated form. I'm really trying to train my AI agent to do that. This is what people do at companies, fill out all the boring forms. Like doctors love AI agents now because doctors are so heavily regulated, they have to spend most of their time filling out insurance forms and other crappy forms, and they can't even work with patients. So they're getting AI tools to fill that stuff out for them. Police use it. You know, if you see all the cop shows, the cops hate writing up reports. AIs are writing those reports now, which means they're all full of mistakes and lies too, even more than before. But the cops don't have to work so hard writing them. This is the wave of the future. Any kind of irritating paperwork, your AI agent is probably going to be helpful, but it will make up stuff. It will hallucinate and say things that are not true. You have to watch it. So anyway, I highly recommend getting one of these going. And the two I put up, which I think are the best, LifeOS is for general purpose, anything you want. If you particularly want to just do coding, then Naked Claude Code is fine. That's the most powerful thing most people are using to write code. If all you care about is writing code, this is using Claude Code, but it adds extra features to make it general purpose, where it can do all sorts of things. They both can, in principle, do anything, but they're optimized to make it easier for different types of tasks. And there are a lot of other ones out there, like Microsoft Copilot and everything. These are the ones that most people are using now to learn how to use them, the most powerful and reasonably priced ones. And it's good to get on board now because the price is going up. They tried already to move the $20 plan up to a $200 a month plan, but the week they did that, China came out with the free DeepSeek, which was almost as good and free, and so they had to go back to $20 a month. But at $20 a month, they're losing money on every customer. It costs them more than that to run the servers. So sooner or later, they're really going to have to raise the price, which is another reason why they will start hiring people again. They're already discovering that even right now, when they fire people and replace them with AI, there's no return on investment. And when the price of the AI goes up, it's going to be cheaper to hire people again to do the work. So even though right now it's hard to get a tech job, I think within a year, the tech jobs are coming back. Because AI is valuable and important, but as always, the hype has wildly exaggerated how valuable it is and tricked a bunch of non-technical managers into believing a bunch of lies about it. And I think they're beginning to find out what it's good. There's a thing called the Gartner hype cycle, which maybe I can get a picture of it if you don't know it. Maybe I can even find the Gartner hype cycle for AI. Yeah, let's see if it's going to have it here. Yeah, there it is. It looks like they blurred it out. Let me bring it up on my webpage. This is actually a useful thing to understand what goes on in Silicon Valley, which is what affects us all. Let me just steal this from my AI course, which should be actually on this machine. Just a moment. I teach in an AI course, and this is in the first lesson, so I should be able to find it. Yeah, this will do. Okay. There it is. This is what I wanted to show you. This is the hype cycle. Everything in technology has this. First, some new thing appears and nobody even knows what it is. The people that first design it and the people that first hear about it say, this is the greatest thing ever, like blockchain. Blockchain is going to solve every problem, end all human suffering. Everyone has these tiny promises. Then it hits the peak where people begin to notice a lot of people are now using it and they realize it has some problems and limitations. Then everybody turns against it. This stuff is crap. It's not as good as they said it was. Everybody hates it. Everybody hates it and they go way too far hating it. Then finally, they're done with all the nonsense and it's just another thing, like the internet and the typewriter and the television and the car. It's just another thing. It doesn't mean everybody loses their job. It doesn't mean we live in paradise and all the problems are solved. It's just another thing of some value. And even in 2023, they put generative AI at the peak. So, and there are all these different AI products at different levels, but you should understand this is the way everything works. There's a new thing, nobody knows what it is, then there's a period when everyone thinks it's going to solve every problem, then people discover it's of some value, but it has problems, and everybody turns against it, and then it's just another thing. So right now, we're falling down here where people are doing stupid things with it that don't work, like trying to replace humans with AI agents, which is not working, and people are beginning to turn against it, but they haven't stopped laying people off yet because they have a sugar high. If you lay a bunch of people off, it cuts expenses, and you have more profit that quarter, and the manager gets a bonus. They don't notice that you aren't actually getting any work done. That won't hit for a quarter or two afterwards. Yeah.
You mentioned that these AI agents aren't like as secure. So like, how do people make it more secure? Like
That is an enormously important problem right now. Everybody is struggling to secure them. Right now, they put guardrails around them. The intrinsic software is fundamentally got command injection. All the inputs are treated as commands equally valued, and nobody has any technology yet to separate them into administrator and non-administrator accounts. So they put a guardrail outside it that checks your data to see if it looks malicious before it goes in. And that thing is easy to fool. But the one they use is, it's in my AI course, there's one called Llama Guard, which rates your question into like 10 categories. Is it a sexual question? Is it a violence question? Is it a malware question? Or is it okay? And they put that in front of it to filter the data coming in. This is the same thing people do with web servers. They have a thing called a web application firewall that tries to stop the attacks on the way in. Since you can't be bothered to actually patch the software on the endpoint, you try to limit it. Like children. Now, children are vulnerable. Like anybody could talk them into getting in a car, so you put them in like a fenced yard and you limit who gets in there. Like the parents want to know who's playing with the kids. That's what you do. You put a layer of defense outside it to try to limit what kind of data goes in, since it can't be trusted to do safe things with the data. That's the current way we're doing it. And that is a risky and imperfect process, and there's a lot of ways to sneak bad things in. So right now, deploying AI is dangerous. The critical infrastructure company I consult for will only let people use Microsoft Copilot and nothing else, because they feel like that's relatively safe and under control, because it's limited by Microsoft. That's the other people using like Claude Code like I'm using here, you can't use that for them. And that's, every company makes their own risk judgment. But if you want to be on the cutting edge of AI, you just wildly deploy all the latest stuff and don't worry about the security problems, because getting the job done is more important than getting hacked. But for more conservative companies like banks, not getting hacked is more important than having the latest thing. So they probably aren't using it at all yet. And you have to decide where you are. Every industry has to make their own decision. But for students learning, you're in the first category. Learning this stuff is more important than a little risk. It's probably worth taking some chance of getting hacked to learn it fast. If you put it in a virtual machine like I did, your risk is pretty low. I have students just putting it right on the real machine, living with it, having it go to all their accounts and manage their whole life, which is probably the fastest way to learn if you're willing to take that kind of risk. It might go send unauthorized emails. It might go on an evil control and go on all your accounts and post embarrassing things on your Facebook page and stuff. Maybe you're willing to take that risk to learn faster. You have to choose your risk threshold. But we should all be playing with it in some way, because it's the future. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you. Let me stop there.